right, after that lowdown on the global economy and the fears that we could see risk assets falling further, let's shift to the big news of the morning. All eyes will be now on Infosys as the technology major gears up to report earnings for the second quarter. Well, our resident expert is of course with me here, my co-anchor Rima. Rima, run us through the expectations and your poll once again.
Well, first the Q2 poll, dollar revenue growth is seen higher by 3% on a quarter-on-quarter basis at $2,195 million, so roughly 3%. EBIT margins are seen higher by 50 basis points on a quarter-on-quarter basis, so 25.6 is what the median suggesting on the margin front, and PAT is seen higher sequentially by close to about 3.5%. The other key parameter will be the FY15 dollar revenue growth, which stands at 7 to 9%, and that is largely expected to be maintained despite the slight hit you could see on the back of your cross currency. Your cross currency is basically on account of the dollar appreciation versus the pound versus the euro. Against the euro, in fact, it appreciated by 3.5%. So that is the other key parameter. And thirdly, we'll watch for Dr. Sikka's commentary on strategy as well as on capital allocation. Strategy is important because it will tell you whether the company wants to invest a lot for the margin. So the medium-term outlook on the margins as well as revenue will depend on what strategy he decides. So you will not focus so much on today's earnings because the future could be very different depending on if he goes aggressive, he cuts to capture the market share. It could impact margins but help the revenue. And secondly, on his commentary, we'll watch for capital allocation. No buyback or something is expected. Do not expect details or specific, except expect a direction with a focus on innovation as well as M&A rather than a buyback.
All right. M&A, of course, people will want now that there's pressure after what Cognizant announced. But let's get a market voice and an expert in. Sandip Agarwal, Vice President, Wholesale Capital Markets at Edelweiss Financial Services, who tracks Infosys very closely, joins us with his expectations. Hi, Sandip. Good morning. What's the sense you are getting? If, as Rima says, and as our poll forecast, 2.9% is what is delivered in terms of dollar earnings, and the guidance is retained, what would your commentary be on the stock itself? Do you see it receding?
So, Lata, yeah, we are also expecting around 3.1, 3.2% kind of reported currency growth, which implies that, constant currency will be somewhere between 3.5 to 3.6. I don't think people will be too much focused unless there is a large deviation from this number in terms of revenue growth. So even if there is a 20-30 bips or 40-50 bips deviation also from this expectation, I don't think investors will be too too much impacted with that. Today's key focus in my view will be 2-3 things. One, what will be the strategy going forward, because Dr. Sikka is the first non-promoter CEO. So basically people will expect him to give his strategy, how he will take forward the company, because what everyone wants Infosys to do is they want Infosys to get back on growth path, and for that obviously you need to have a definite strategy in mind. Also, people are also very excited, investors particularly are very excited with the kind of pedigree Mr. Sikka, Dr. Sikka has, and the background he's coming from, which brings in significant amount of relationship at the top level on the client side. So obviously, people would like to know where they are, how they are seeing it, and also people will be keen to know whether the manpower related issues have been sorted out yet or not, because if you see the attrition rate of Infosys is one of the highest among the large caps and even higher than some of the mid caps. So that is something which is a very difficult situation the company is going through, because of which everything is impacted on the cost front. So I think there will be some focus to know what will he do on that front. Although lot of people have joined from IBM and SAP in last couple of months. So I think that will be another focus area. Third, obviously, I think which is probably least material would be the capital allocation policy, because if you see in IT companies, cash balances are generally high across the globe. But yes, people would like to know if there is not going to be any big bang acquisition or something like that, then how will that cash be utilized, whether it will be returned or not. But I don't think there will be too much focus of investor on that. So investors' key focus will be on what is the growth plans and what are the plans to bring stability back in the organization. So I think these are the two focus areas. In terms of growth, if they do 3% and plus minus 20-30 bips, I don't think there will be much impact of that. But
Okay.
yes, if it is much more there is higher deviation than that number, then there could be problem.
So any number above 3.5% in reported dollar revenue will come as a positive surprise.
I think even in reported currency, if it is above 3.2, it will be a positive surprise.
And no expectations at all that he will up the guidance.
I don't think they will up the guidance right now. I think even if there is a positive number, even if the numbers are good, they will try to, retain that guidance as of now.
Okay. The current market price of Infosys is 36.50. F516 is trading at a PE of 15.5, 16 times. What is the stock currently pricing in terms of a medium-term outlook on revenue as well as on margins?
See, in my view, right now the stock is pricing in a very minimal growth for even FY16, around 11.5%. And margins also, everyone is at, in my view, at around 28%, 27.5%, 28% kind of estimate. So I think if this quarter they do, let's say, more than 3.2 or 3.5, and there is a clear roadmap, or there is some positive commentary on how they are approaching new deals and all those things, and if there is a positive commentary from the US economy, I think the biggest driver of growth is always the recovery in US, because the discretionary spend comes suddenly and it is a big number always, and that gets distributed very fast. So if that happens, then probably people may change their estimates for next year as well. So if that happens, then obviously there is further upside. But I think at current levels there is no significant downside or no significant upside if currency doesn't fluctuate much. So I think the estimates which people are having are very, very conservative right now, and they are more or less doable without much effort. So there is a chance of increasing the estimates, in my view, if there is a clear roadmap and if there is a beat on numbers.
And what's your current price target, you said?
So we are at around 4,400 rupees.
All right. Okay. So you are still bullish. Thank you very much, Sandip, for joining us with what the street is expecting. You can catch the boardroom with Infosys management this morning at 10 a.m.